Hey guys, I'm recording these videos, this one and the last three ones before the Easter week because I won't be able to film anything or upload anything that week, so I'm going to do this now. Today is Friday, so not the Friday before this is posted, but the Friday of the week before, so mind you that. And I was reading the news. The news broke yesterday night very late, and now there's another development. The world is insane basically, and it's going worst apparently. Things are not going better. I cannot understand how people say that everything is better in our world. It isn't really. People that say that things are getting better are blind physically. So what I wanted to talk about in this video is a little bit about media. And media is a big thing right now, and after the 2016 US election, everyone is on media. Everything is fake news, everything is made up, everything is true or false or whatever, or you can use whatever you want in your favor. And that's not really, I know some people are going to say, oh, it's because of Donald Trump or it's because of Hillary Clinton. No, has been happening for a long time everywhere else, to be honest. The United States always thinks that things happen to them first. No, the rest of the world actually has the same problems or even worse problems, and things happen around in many other places before than in the United States. And the way that media is used, and media is like marketed to terror people, that has been in use for I don't know, since media exists basically. Remember that when television was in boom was in the 1940s, 1950s, and that was during a war and post-war, when a Cold War against the communists. And so people were using that tool, the media, to say people, that those people that live in Russia, they are evil, and they want to kill you and your family, and they're going to drop a bomb on our heads. So be mindful of everything and be scared of everything too. So that's a little bit what they are doing nowadays. And to be honest, it is kind of justified. In the sense that I just learned, I don't know, 10 minutes ago that a truck had rammed against a department store, I think it was, and killed about 3 people in Sweden. So I'm like, yes, there's a reason that we should be a little bit more scared of going out than before, because terrorists have realized that their grand, operations are over, and I think we won't have anything like the 2001 New York attacks, thank God, again in our world. That was important not only because of where it happened, but also because it changed the world in the sense that we are not fighting communists anymore, or we are not fighting like people that are like our open enemies like it was before. Now our enemies, or people that seem to be our enemies, are hidden and can be everywhere, and they can attack alone. That's the thing nowadays, that there's no organization and planning and things. And I think it's funny when they say the police is investigating and they're doing everything. Well, they shouldn't investigate that much, because now every person in the world has a computer basically, or access to one, and they can be radicalized just by looking into a computer. So everyone and anyone too can have a driver's license, and anyone can drive a car with a driver's license or a truck or whatever, and just ram people. Just run over people anywhere in the world, to be honest. And if it's happening in Europe more and more, it's because, well, immigration, and those are the countries that have been let's say invasive in the countries that not invasive on the countries that where the terrorists come from. Mainly, of course, many terrorists right now live in the country, are from the countries that are being attacked nowadays. But terrorism was born somewhere, and yeah, sadly that happened in the Middle East. And I'm not saying every Middle Eastern person is a terrorist or anything like that. Of course not. Most Middle Eastern people are endearing. And yes, you may not agree with everything that their culture says, but you can appreciate their culture. And I've been to Turkey, for example, and it's a marvelous country. I lived in Morocco too. It's a marvelous country too. So I don't. I mean, I think you shouldn't really have anything against someone just because of their religion. However, it's undeniable that many terrorists' beliefs have been, extracted or have been born actually from distorted fragments from certain religious papers, texts, such as the Quran, for example. And of course, the Quran can be interpreted like the Bible, like anyone can grab it and interpret it as they see fit. I mean, it's not like you have the person that wrote it next to you to ask, did you mean that? I mean, people can do whatever because the person that wrote all those things is dead. So you cannot really know what they meant when they wrote that. But that's the sad truth. I mean, it's a sad truth that that region has been ravaged by war because of that. But what I was talking about is media. And of course, media manipulates information in every way possible. I mean, you can't say that, oh, they only manipulate against everything that's left, everything that's rebellious, and only pro-capitalism and everything like that. But that's not true. Of course, CNN, for example, is always pro-US, so everything that the US does is good until now that they have Trump. Now, CNN is, of course, against Trump because Trump is against CNN. But that's the funny thing. I mean, CNN had always been pro everything. I mean, pro-Republican, pro-Democrat, pro-anything physically. And they say they don't have really a political allegiance, but they do, of course. News media is made from people, not from dirt. And people have a point of view, a religious point of view, a political point of view, a social point of view. So saying that media doesn't have any bias is just stupid. For example, here in Colombia, practically all media, I would say that 95% of media is controlled by right-wing people. I mean, people that believe in those things. And there's a channel, for example, here that it's, far right. And everyone knows it, but no one really seems to care because people don't really care about politics here in Colombia, which is really funny because we are a country ravaged by war too, but no one seems to care. But whatever. And only a very small fraction actually used to be controlled by the left, not anymore. I mean, many artistic, like enterprises and stuff, maybe are kind of left-leaning, but that's it. But the big media is controlled by, of course, the capitalists, and everything that happens that has to do with economy is great. Everything is like from that side, everything is awesome, everything is great. And anything smells a little bit like left, it's like, oh my God, that's awful, that's crazy, and they don't even put attention into that. Or if there are candidates, for example, it's the election season and they have candidates from the left, they are really not portrayed in media, and when they are portrayed, they are to be ridiculed or to be mocked or just because there's nothing else to put on. So that's the deal here, for example, with media, and that doesn't change in Europe, and that doesn't change in the US. In Europe, for example, everything is impartial apparently, but it really isn't. Of course, as I said, everyone has a point of view politically and socially. Just the thing is that they are a little bit more subtle in their take against it. For example, I respect the BBC, for example, because they try to be a little bit cautious with what they say, but sometimes it's like, of course, they have to use it. And of course, and I say the media uses footage and what happens in order to make an agenda be put forward. For example, the showing of all those images from the Syria attack, the chemical attack. Of course, that's an awful thing that shouldn't have happened ever. It's ridiculous that those weapons still exist, that they let people have them. The UN apparently is worthless, and it has been worthless for at least 30 years, practically. But I think it's awful that they use those images of dying children, of bodies, of everything, just to spark a certain response from you. Of course, they want a certain answer. It's not that they waiting for, oh, what's your answer to this? No, they are expecting an answer when they show that. It's like when they show like a girl with big boobs in a reality show. They want you to look at her and not and miss all the other things that they are showing. Maybe they are showing something that's not right, or maybe they are showing something that they think that shouldn't have happened and they're trying to handle it. So there's the girl with big boobs, and that's always the thing. And you know, here in Colombia, for example, they always exaggerate a little bit too much, they cross the line with just paparazzis, basically. Paparazzis in the sense that, not in the sense that they chase people, but in the sense that they exploit people and they exploit the suffering of others. For example, there was a tragedy recently that a mudslide just destroyed half a city, basically, and of course people died and people don't have homes, and it's awful right there. But of course that happened a little like a week ago, but they're exploiting that like there's no tomorrow. I mean, every single story, every city little thing, the thieves, the lovers, I understand that they have to inform about something, but I think that when you have like this like interest stories and all that thing, I think that's going a little bit too much. That's going into magazine territory, and I don't think television news should be doing that, or actually written news. So that's another territory for other types of journalists. TV journalists and news anchors and should work on the story and just reporting on the story, and that's it. No feelings, no nothing. And I know that many people are like, why? There are people that are presenting this news, and it's supposed to be like that. If you're going to cry while presenting, whatever news you're presenting, do it. But the thing is that the channel or whatever should be really forward and said, yes, our channel is going to be like that. We're not going to hold back, and this is going how we are running our business. And that's great, but that's not what they say. They say, oh, we're impartial and we are only here to deliver the news and maybe analyze things. And they don't analyze shit. They just show a person that has lost everything at the body of little children, and that's disgusting, to be honest, to be using that. And the images of Syria and what happened in Stockholm were the ones that made me think that I should do a video about this. And of course, I think I haven't said a word in all these almost 30 minutes, but I think that you get the point that I think that media has to be held accountable for. I mean, in the sense that they have to inform impartially. That's the deal we made with them. We didn't make a deal with them in order for them to show us all the silly little things. They are not investigators. If we want investigators, they can be in another show in the news, in the same channel or whatever. I mean, I think things should be separate, and we should know how to separate our feelings from our facts and and everything. We should be able to separate news from stories, or different types of ways to tell the same story, if you will. So I think we should be able to do that and not take advantage of people, to be honest, because I think that's taking advantage of people just by lying, basically. So yeah, that's my take on a little bit of my take on media. I think I haven't said everything, and I don't know if I made sense, but whatever. And I don't know what images I'm going to put here. That's a mystery for me, but whatever. So watch these my last two videos and subscribe to my channel, please. And yes, comment about anything that has to do with this subject. So thank you so much. Goodbye.